What's going on, guys? Angelo here. Welcome to the Let's Talk About That podcast. Today I have a very special guest. He has over 25,000 subscribers on his main channel. He's accumulated over 2.5 million total views. On top of that, he also has a bigger fragrance collection than me. Give a round of applause for Justin Copeland, also known as JC. What's going on, man? Thank you for being on the podcast today. How have you been so far?
I've been good, man. Thanks for having me here.
No problem.
It's, just adjusting to everything.
How's the quarantine like living you or treating you?
Honestly, it's been really good for me, believe it or not.
I'd say the same thing.
I have some pretty strong introverted tendencies. So,
Same.
And I live by myself.
Oh yeah, so it's like
so it's just I just have more time to myself now, which
it's funny too because I had a couple like extroverts on the podcast like a few episodes ago, and they're just dying right now.
Yeah,
but I'm just like I'm loving it.
I don't understand what it's like to be like. I don't know what to do with myself.
I gotta talk to somebody. No, I'm good chilling on my phone. Yeah. Did you watch The Tiger King or no? You don't have Netflix?
I do have Netflix. I have kind of been avoiding it just because it just seems so ridiculous, but I know I'm going to watch it at some point.
It's just craziness. Like, I don't have Netflix, but I've seen too many crazy clips of it and I've heard basically every story about it with the lady killing the husband and whatnot. But so tell us about, like, how did you get into fragrances? Because I know a lot of people aren't really fond on the channel, but I actually do more fragrance videos and whatnot now. And people don't really realize, but I'm not going to be doing just close to people every time, guys. So I just want to let everyone know I'm going to try to get different people on. And I was able to get Justin on here, JC on here. So just tell us, how did you get into fragrances though, man?
I've been a fan of smelling good for as long as I can remember. I've been wearing fragrances in some capacity or another since I was like in middle school. So we're talking, over 15 years.
Great day. Do you remember your first fragrance or no?
Yeah. I mean, I had a bunch of real cheap fragrances that my parents would buy me. I had the whole Bod Man. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, yeah.
I had like the whole collection of those. They're plastic bottles, like a little like cheap sprayer and all that. So I used to wear those. I had some real like unnamed bottles of fragrance. I don't even know where they came from. They would show up. My mom would bring them home one day. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll wear it.
Right.
But and so I've been wearing fragrances for a long time, but I didn't really get into them, like wanting to learn more, wanting to talk about them and collect. That didn't happen for me until about 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because I was wearing, I was already wearing fragrances, but I was kind of wearing the same stuff over and over, buying the same ones over and over.
Oh, okay.
And I was getting tired of it.
Yeah.
So I went on YouTube. I said, let me just do a quick search and see if I can find anything.
Right. A whole world. I'd say the same thing for me. So like in middle school, I really wasn't wearing anything too much. Honestly, like I wasn't feeling the smells because the fragrances my dad would wear, they smelled like those old people fragrances, and I couldn't stand it. I was like, why do they all smell the same? Like, is this the same one? But towards like high school, I started learning about them a little bit more. And when I got out of high school, like in 2017 is when I started to really kind of get into it more. And I think one of my first fragrances was like Versace, Oh Fresh or whatever. And that's like a really solid just beginner fragrance. So I wanted to get like the designer ones, but then I was like, oh, so these prices though. So
yeah. I mean, once you get into it and it's a rabbit hole. You just kind of fall in. And especially on YouTube, when you start watching reviewers and they talk about all their favorite ones, and then you're like, okay, I have to get all of those.
Yeah, like
watch somebody else, so I got to get all of those.
I remember I watched Jeremy Fragrance's videos like a lot back then, and I remember I was just like, oh, he said that one gets compliments, and I was like, oh, I got to get that one. And that's kind of how it started. And then I started learning about, okay, what's in fragrances like amber and whatnot. And that's really how it all started. Like now, all of a sudden, I now have like, I think it's like 30 fragrances now. I don't know yet. I'll see.
Yeah. And it'll just keep going from there.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to. Like, I really, what are some like fragrance brands that are really on like your list where you're like, I really need to get that soon?
Well, these days, you know, in terms of the brands that really have my interest, most of them tend to be indie or niche brands these days. Because, you know, you go into a Macy's and you find everything that designer brands have to offer. And you find that most of them are the same, more and more these days. Every now and then you get a gem that'll come out trying to be different.
Like, 1 Million Lucky, I remember when I smelled that, I was like, whoa, this smells awesome.
It's different.
And that's like my most complimented one so far. But I know for, what is it, like Polo Colognes, I was just like, I can't really get with it. Like maybe Polo Red is like the only one that I probably would get, but
yeah, every now and then you find something different. But beyond that, I'm mainly niche and indie. Like there's a few brands, there's some brands that I might already have one or have sampled one from, but there's more I want to check out. Like Nishane was a brand from Istanbul, Turkey.
What the world?
They're really, really interesting. And one of their most popular fragrances is one that I have. It's called Fan Your Flames. And I talk about it all the time. And it's one of the most unique fragrances I've ever smelled. And they have a few more that I want to check out. Who else? There's a brand called Nobile 1942 from Italy.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, as you get into it, you just learn. The only way we learn is from other people. So I was in the same boat. Where it's like I didn't know about these brands, you know. But once you learn it, it's on your radar.
Like I could say Parfums de Marly is like really on my list. Like I want one of them so bad because like everyone says they all really smell good. But I'm just like, if I get one, I want to make sure I get like maybe like Pegasus or something because everyone says like, or Leighton is like another one. So
yeah, I love Leighton. That's one of the ones I owned from them. A couple others that I've smelled a few. I used to own Herod, which I kind of wish I still had. That's a great one.
Did you have, what was the one that was in the red bottle? I forget.
That's Colognes. That's their newest one. And I've only smelled that on paper. I need to really test that one out. That one seems to be kind of polarizing. Some people don't like it, but some people really do like it.
That's what I hear.
Percival is great as well.
Percival's good. Okay.
That one kind of goes under the radar a little bit. That was from like 2 years ago that came out. Real fresh, easy to wear. Yeah.
I know you talk about Roja Parfums a lot on like your channel. I've never even smelled one of them. Like I've never heard of the brand until I saw like your videos about them. Like I remember when your family, they had smelt it, like you did a video where they were just smelling, they were just like, oh my gosh. So
I was surprised. And that was the one that they liked the most, which was one of the most expensive ones.
Right.
Which is not always the case, you know.
That's
one of the big misconceptions is that, you know, with niche perfumery, the higher the price, you know,
it's really just
better the fragrance. But
it's really the experience and like what they're giving you. I mean, the ingredients are usually better when the price tag is that high, but like it's that unboxing experience. Like the box you had showed, like it looked kind of like the Valentine's Day guy. I forget the name, but you just did a review on it.
Oh wait, the Argos.
It had a crazy box too.
You're talking about Argos fragrances?
I think so.
With has like a metal plate on the bottle?
I think so. And like the box is like it had like, it looks like Roman type of people.
That's Argos.
Okay. I've got to check them
great.
out.
I mean, you know, with a lot of those brands, you know, you see the price and you're like,
oh yeah,
that much for a fragrance. But as I said in the video, you know, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time you do get what you pay for.
Yeah.
if but it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to just get compliments,
right,
then you don't need to spend $200
exactly,
on fragrance. Simple as
I
that.
mean, exactly. Like when I first started, it was like that's all I was caring about. I was like, okay, does this get compliments? I was like, all right, let me get it then. And
Yeah, that's where
really
we
what
all
I was.
start.
Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
base it off of. But then, like you said, when you get more into it, you're just like, oh, this fragrance brand is like, oh, this is like a family-owned brand, or this is something else. It's like it's actually really interesting seeing like what these other companies' ideas are. So I don't know if you've heard of like Alexander fragrances yet. I have. I just got. It's 1980 like 4X, 1981X, yeah. But it's really good. Like I was like, they even came with a bag, but it didn't cost too much. It was like $50. So
yeah. I've been working with Hani Hafez, who's the owner. I've been working with him since 2017, I think.
Nice.
So he sent me some of his recent fragrances. This was a few months ago, and
nice.
I don't have that one, the X, which might be brand new, but I do have 1984 Intense, which is really good.
Oh, I know what you, okay.
Yeah,
I think it's 1981X, if I'm correct. So,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, so what would be like, what were some fragrances that you'd say, what is it, that when you got them, they were like a blind buy and you were really upset?
Yeah, that's a question that, it covers a topic we all kind of go through. And the first thing I'll say in response to that is, when I started YouTube, even before, like leading up to me starting actually making videos, I was watching tons of reviews. I was getting all the fragrances I was seeing, and they were all blind buys, pretty much. And at this point in time, I would say 99% of the fragrances that I bought blindly, I don't have them anymore.
Oh, wow.
So that just goes to show
that's crazy.
I mean, I didn't hate them all.
Yeah.
But over time, I realized that all the fragrances I had in my collection, I only had because someone else said they liked them.
That's true.
Not because that I found it, I liked it, and then I decided to get it. So at one time, I had like 80-something fragrances.
Oh my
I got rid of all of them.
What?
Those were all blind buys. They're all gone. I sold them all. And
I
now
remember you did a video on that, didn't you? Because like I remember you were like, you got rid of like Prada L'Homme, and I was like, what? Why would you get rid of that one? That was good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. A lot of them I did not want to get rid of, but it was just a weird time in life, and I was moving, and it was just a whole lot of things happening at once. So I purged everything except for maybe like 10 bottles. Now I've rebuilt my collection beyond what it was before in terms of numbers, but now it's pretty much all fragrances that I wanted, so they're not all blind buys. I still have a few blind buys here and there, but I really do my research now just to make sure.
I'd say, I mean, when I would go to Macy's a lot to actually check the fragrances, because most of the time the ones that they were talking about were usually at a department store. I recently, well, not recently, last year I went to Saks Fifth for like the first time, and I was like, oh snap, they have like everything here. The only thing they didn't have was Parfums de Marly, but I did get my like nose and whatnot on probably like fragrances like Tom Ford's, what else? You have Bot Number 9, all that stuff. So
yeah, Saks is a great place to do that. I've only been to one Saks. It was in Chicago.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it was the same thing. I got to smell all the fragrances I never even could get my hands on. So yeah, but Parfum de Marly, I mean, I would recommend getting some decants of that stuff, if you can. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time we set our sights on a bottle, and it's like, well, I guess I gotta buy it then. It's like, no, you don't have to. Those things are expensive. You can go on eBay, and there's a lot of reputable sellers. You just look at the ratings, and you can get 5 milliliter decant.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so funny. Like you said, I'm always like, I don't want that 1 ounce going, because if I actually like it, what happens? Like now I just wasted. Now I got to buy another one soon. So it's just like you said, it really is smart to just get the 5 milliliters. Like fragrance that has those test ones. So I think it's a really good idea, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you. Yeah, I used to just strictly blind buy bottles of a lot of designer fragrances. And again, a lot of them were good, but they were just good. And at a certain point in time, I decided that I didn't want fragrances in my collection that were just okay to me. I wanted ones that I really loved and that I
don't
really
blame
wanted
you.
to wear.
Like I said, 1 million, I love that fragrance. And like every time I get a reaction from it, the women love it too. So it's just like, I love that fragrance. When I first smelled it, I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, and like you said, it's still fragrances that you like. Like there's some fragrances that I have right now, like you said, that I probably would be like, I'll probably get rid of them in a couple of like months or so, just because I'm like, well, if I really don't like it or if I don't want to wear it, there's no reason for me really to have it. Like I'd rather give it to someone else who does want it. So
exactly. And some people really don't understand that thinking. I remember when I was making it known that I was selling my fragrances, there's some people out there who are like, why would you get rid of anything? Like, even if you don't like it now, you might like it later.
No.
Just keep it. And I'm like, unless I have unlimited storage space, which I don't, I'm not going to keep something in my house that I'm not using. It just, that's just a utilitarian thing.
Right.
And a lot of people don't like to look at fragrances in terms of being a collector from a utilitarian standpoint, because it's not. And once you have like 20 fragrances, it's not about utilitarianism anymore at all. It's about,
it's just getting,
the same way you would wear different shirts every day and get new clothes. It goes based on how you feel and your mood and all that,
And do you just decide to wear them depending on weather, or are you just like, I'm going to wear this just because I want to wear it type of guy?
It's hard, honestly. I made a whole video on this a couple years ago on how I choose my fragrance for the day, because it's different. I have different ways of doing it. Sometimes I just know. You wake up, that is the least of the time that happens. That happens the least. Sometimes I'll go on Instagram or YouTube in the morning, and then I'll see someone talking about a fragrance. That'll remind me of, like, I have that one. I want to wear it. And that happens a little bit more often. Sometimes, sometimes I go in from my collection, I just start sniffing, and then I'm like, okay, this is the one. But a lot of the time it is pretty formulated. It depends on, like, okay, where am I going? Am I going to work? Am I going to go see someone? What is it? What's the weather like? I take all that into consideration every time. But sometimes I literally flip a coin. I'll pick 2 or 3, usually 2.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll flip a coin, best out of 3, and that's the one. I do that pretty often.
For me, I do base it off of weather a lot. Because in Virginia, our weather is always changing. So I can't just be like, I'm going to wear this crazy Gucci guilty perfume or cologne. And sometimes I'm just like, or another day it'll be so hot where I'm like, okay, let me just do like Homme or something, or YSL or something like that. So it just all depends. Like you said, I've had those days where I'm just like, I don't really know what to wear today. I want to wear something, but let's just go ahead and see what I got in the collection to smell. And usually I figure out one, but like you said, it's very rare for me to just be like, I'll wake up and be like, okay, I'm definitely wearing that today. Like that only happens when I'm like, I know what I'm doing for that day or something. So
yeah, exactly.
Now you've been doing music for how long now?
Wow. I've been studying music for, I want to say, like 24 years now.
Oh my gosh.
That. Most of my life.
Wow.
I started on piano at the age of 7. And I played piano for 5 years, and I still play piano. But I stopped taking lessons after 5 years, and I started trumpet lessons. Well, I didn't start trumpet lessons. I started playing trumpet in band. And then maybe 3 years later, I started lessons on it. But I've been playing trumpet ever since 12. And that's my primary instrument.
Wow. Have you played any other instrument besides like piano or trumpet or no?
I mean, not studying wise. I mean, I've dabbled with things here and there, like the saxophone or the trombone or something, but no, not really.
See, I actually used to play the saxophone in middle school, and the only reason I actually stopped was because I was just like, I wanted to see what else I wanted to do. Like, I just wanted to take other class, and the whole thing with band, it was just like, this is like a whole year semester type of thing. For at least for us in Virginia, it's like you have to take that whole class the whole year. And I was like, I don't want to do this like a third time. I love playing it. It was just like, I don't want to keep doing this like every day and just testing it. But I did like it. When did you decide like you wanted to do trumpet? Like, what made you want to do trumpet?
Well, I grew up in kind of a musical family, basically. Okay. No one in my family is a professional musician, but my dad, he plays the bass.
Oh, okay. Nice.
My mom played clarinet for a very long time, and she sings. And my dad is a big fan of jazz. So growing up, I heard a lot of jazz.
Wow.
And, you know,
trumpets are always in jazz too. So
you know, and there wasn't any divine calling to the trumpet. Honestly, I picked it because it looked easy. It had 3 buttons.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to play saxophone. Yeah, I wanted to play saxophone, but my mom thought it would be too heavy for me to hold. So I said, all right, well, the trumpet looks easy.
Oh my gosh.
It's not at all.
Yeah, it's not at all.
I know.
I was about to say, like, I remember in band class, like the very first day, like the first 2 days, she was just like, our band teacher was like, okay, figure out what instrument you actually want to play. And like for drum, it was either, for me, I remember I was like, I tried everything and I could not hit a single note on that trumpet. I was like, why? What is the problem? Like, what am I doing? And same thing for trombone. I was just like, what in the world? Why is it so hard? But for saxophone, it was so easy. And I also wanted to do drums, but she didn't let me do drums. So I was like, okay, saxophone it is. And that's how it happened.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get it. And yeah, I didn't really sample any other instruments. I just, all right, trumpet. And I had already heard about some great trumpet players that I liked, like Miles Davis, Wynton Marsalis. Those are 2 guys that I heard about really early on who were kind of became my heroes. So, as soon as I started actually playing the instrument, I realized how hard it was. And I just kind of decided, well, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to play these things that I've heard. Right. So I just stuck with it.
Wow. So, okay, what are 3, just give off like 3 off the bat inspirations for music, I guess, for you at least?
Well, 2 of them would definitely be the guys I just mentioned. Miles Davis is one, who's legendary trumpet player and band leader and kind of just innovator in general. And Wynton Marsalis, he's one of my biggest influences on the trumpet itself in terms of playing the instrument, in terms of sound conception. Total virtuoso, you can play anything. And and a third one, geez, it's always hard to boil it down. Well, in terms of my biggest influences, another one would be another trumpet player. His name was Freddie Hubbard. And he's real fiery trumpet player. A lot of energy.
Wow.
I wanted to be Freddie Hubbard in high school.
Oh my gosh. I mean, so what would you say you're more passionate about? Are you more passionate about music, playing like the trumpet, or are you more dedicated to Colognes?
You know what?
Like if it was the end of the world, what would you go down with? The trumpet or the Colognes?
Well, you know, I got 2 things to say to that. Number one, I don't see those passions in a linear fashion for me.
Yeah.
In terms of like a spectrum, like, oh, these are the things I like, and then as we go this way, I like these less. It's not like that for me, at least with those 2 things. I have space for both, and they're both very different passions. And, you know, I don't really, when I'm in each one of them, I don't sense Like, oh, I'm doing this thing. I wish I was doing that thing though. You know, they both have my attention whenever I'm doing them.
Yeah.
But, you know, just to put it frankly, if we're talking historically, at heart, I am a musician.
Okay.
That was the first thing I've done. That is what I've dedicated most of my time to.
Yeah.
And that is what I do most of my
I was gonna say now
with.
you still do it now.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah, I mean, I am a professional musician. That is what I do. So,
I mean, there's no license to be a professional musician, is there?
No, not a license.
Yeah.
No, I mean, being an artist in general is,
you can't really put a
very
label on
different.
that.
No, it's not like becoming a doctor or an attorney or something. Where you have to go to school and then you get your degree and then now people see you as a musician.
Right.
It's just different.
Right. It's just there. Like, people don't understand too. It's usually just like, how do you play it? It's just like, well, once you learn, it's just like, you just keep doing it and you hear more music and it just kind of, it gives you more knowledge about, okay, how do I get this note or how do I do this note better, really? So
yeah, I mean, it's all about listening and it's all about surrounding yourself with people who can do it better than you. Yeah. That's what it comes down to, is other people. You know, it was my peers and my mentors are the ones who kept me going, honestly. Even from early age, starting in middle school, playing in band. It was all my friends who also wanted to play that made me want to play.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so we make each other better. Yeah, that's where I can put it. You know, there's a bit of an internal pursuit. Like, yeah, you have these goals and dreams, but if you're just by yourself in a vacuum playing the instrument, you're probably going to quit because there's no point. What is the purpose? You know, the purpose is to share it with others. That's what music is for. That's what art is for in general.
Yeah. So I know those are probably like your two, like, probably favorite hobbies, I guess you could say, or really even your passion. But are there any other ones that you'd say like you're really into? Any other like things or what?
I mean, I've always been interested in science. I like technology. I really love astronomy. That's a big interest of mine. I've always been interested in the universe and outer space and all that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, those are big ones for me, I'd say.
I mean, so do you keep up with like Teslas and whatnot or what? Yeah, I mean, have you seen, what is your thoughts on like the Cybertruck when that released? What did you think of that?
On the truck, you said?
The Cybertruck.
Yeah, you know, I honestly, I loved it when I saw it. I loved it specifically. Yeah, it's exactly the reason why I loved it was because of how it got my attention. Like I was like, what?
It was like, I'm here. It was like, I'm here.
Yeah. And then I had to appreciate, like, the fact that I'm looking at this thing with this feeling means that is exactly what they wanted to do. And I have to appreciate that. So I love it. I like that it is different. They are trying to make it different. They could have just made, you know,
they could have made it look like
with the rest of the market.
Yeah.
You know,
they could have made it look like the Honda Ridgeline thing, or like they could have went like the F-150 way or something like that. But I like that. That's the one thing I love about Tesla, is that they try to be different. Like, they're not, I think one of the main reasons so many people love them is because they include tech and like the power of electricity and whatnot. It's just crazy how they combine the two and put it into a car, because most cars, it's like, they've always been known to be, they're fast, but they were never that fast. So
no, I mean, that new Roadster coming out, that thing, I think it's like 0 to 60
I think in 1.6 seconds.
I can't remember. Yeah. Like, what more do you need?
Right.
You know, that's the power of technology.
Yeah. So do you keep up with, like, what would you say, what's your like favorite type of planet, I guess?
Planet, you said?
Huh.
No one's ever asked me that question.
Wow.
I mean, I would say, you know, since I was a kid, I was always interested most in Neptune, the planet Neptune. just because of the way it looks. It's all these shades of blue. It's it's gas.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, and just the name and the mythology surrounding Neptune in general, the Roman god Neptune is just really interesting. So, and also there's a big connection with music with me when it comes to space. Specifically with the planets, there's a composer named Gustav Holst, and he wrote a piece called The Planets, and it's a suite for the planet. So there's a movement for every planet, and Neptune is really cool. It's a really cool movement from the piece.
Do you think that we could get to Mars within like our lifetime? Yeah, that's totally. What I say.
I mean, they're talking about by 2025.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like. And Elon wants to get there so bad. Like, you can tell he's determined to figure out a way, because he's already wants us to travel in a daggone jet across the country.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The fact that we have been able to send spacecraft, even unmanned, as far as basically the edge of the known universe. That is enough so that we can figure it out.
Yeah. You know, space is always growing though, so that's one of those things where it's like, I don't think we'd ever really find every single thing.
No.
This would be impossible, but
we're not meant to either.
Right. And it's not.
Yeah, we have limits.
So
as humans.
Are you like one of those conspiracy theory people, or like, are you into that or what?
It depends. It depends on what it is.
Okay, so people, do you think there are aliens or what?
The thought that I've always had with that is space is too big for it to just be us. That's the thought I've always had. I can't say it's like, yes, there are aliens out there. I don't know. But I can say that I don't think there aren't aliens, because I think it's just too big. Space is too big. There are too many planets. There are too many galaxies, too many solar systems. And, you know, for the past at least couple decades, I know NASA has been in search of exoplanets, which are planets that are similar to Earth in terms of their position and their solar system and all that, and their ability to have water and whatnot, and house life, basically. And they found thousands of, if not more, of them. We can't go to these planets. But, you know, if we're just talking like, if we're counting like microscopic life as alien life, then yes, I think there are planets with microscopic life forms.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to take a quick ad. We're going to take a little quick break, and we'll come back to you guys after that. Alrighty, so getting back to space, so is there anything else that really intrigues you about it, or like, what else do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty. Black holes. All by themselves. Those things are pretty fascinating.
You know, we actually finally got an image of the black hole now, right? So I don't know. I think it's crazy that Einstein was actually right on that type of stuff. It's just like, wow, like that man really was ahead of his time. So
for sure. Yeah. I need to revisit that image. I don't remember exactly what it looks like now.
It's basically, it looks like just an orange hue is around it type of thing. And I mean, obviously black holes are dangerous, but it's like one of those things where like, I feel like humans would definitely try to do something where they'd be like, let's test and see what happens, and like just see where the dog goes or something. Like, I could definitely see them doing like some test monkey. I just feel like that would happen.
Yeah. Oh man. That would be really tragic for whatever they send in there. I'm sure they would attach a camera to it or something. And I mean, I feel like they wouldn't need to put a living being in there. I'm sure they would want to know like what the effects it has, but I feel like we don't need to know that. We can just send a camera in there if we can and find it, see how long it broadcasts and all that. But
I mean, do you think they are closer? Do you think they're closer to probably Earth than we actually think they are, or what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, as far as I understand, scientists basically have a pretty good idea of where all the black holes are around us.
Yeah.
You know, specifically because of how they affect the light around them. You know, they found a way to detect them without seeing them. You know, so I think we have an idea of where they all are. I mean, there's one in the center of our galaxy.
Right. Yeah.
So that one's pretty close. But even then, I don't know if that's really the closest one.
So let me ask you this, and I'll let you go after that. So do you believe, what's your thoughts on time travel?
Jeez. Oh, man. Well, I mean, you know, we could talk about it realistically or not. I mean, if we're going to talk about it realistically, then we can reference Einstein, you know, and him within the theory of relativity and how, you know, if you were to go to space and you were to orbit at a certain speed, then time would slow down for you and all that. And in which case it's kind of like time traveling, but not in the sense of how we perceive it when we talk about like science fiction and all that.
That's true.
You know, so in the unrealistic sense, I would like to believe it's possible, or you can literally create a device that transfers you and all of your atoms from one time period to another, like literally through dimensions.
Yeah, I mean, well, because of light speed, I always think about that and like how, like you said, like the sci-fi part of it and like movies and whatnot. It's like, it seems like it could be possible, but I feel like we'd be so far down the road. Like we probably would both be dead, and like generations down would be dead until like that could probably even happen. Even if they did figure out how to, like you said, it would basically have to get our whole molecules and whatnot into this other area. So,
and that's,
I mean, we could go faster than speed, but that's basically the way we're beating time now. So,
yeah, you mean like going faster than light? Yeah,
well,
I mean, yeah, I don't, you know, I think we're still figuring that out in terms of how to reach light speed. I don't know if that would ever really happen. I mean, maybe it could, but you know, the one thing that does not upgrade itself is the technology of the human body.
Yeah.
So we can create all the devices we want to travel in time, but
our body, I mean, our
still
brain
flesh
can
and
think
blood,
it,
created of, you know, made out of atoms, and getting all of those atoms intact from one place to another at that speed. I mean, atoms are affected by everything around them.
What's interesting though is because I don't know if you've heard of Hyperloop, but that's the thing like that Elon Musk had focused on for a time. They still do, but it's not really as much because the government really can't fund it. It costs a bunch of money to make it happen, but it's basically like a high-speed train. And
underground, right?
Well, it's above ground and they're in a tube. Yeah, and it's basically like no air pressure is in there. So like, but it gradually gets you up to speed. So maybe it is possible, but like you said, our whole body couldn't just go in there like that. So
there would be repercussions. I mean, we would need to find a way to fortify ourselves. There's probably certain suits that can be built to,
because even astronauts, like when they go to the moon, like they still say like their body be aching when they come back to Earth because the gravity hits you. You're like, oh snap. Like
I mean, the effects are undeniable. You know, those who are up in ISS and the space station, I mean, they're up there for like a year at a time. And, you know, they do a number of things while they're up there to keep themselves in shape, but there's no getting around it. Being up in space where there is no gravity for that long, I mean, just the effects that it has on the body. You know, you come back and it's like, oh, like, wow, it takes a lot of adjustment. So Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating. And I really hope that we're able to continue to discover more about space. But, you know, as humans, we have limits. We were created to be on this planet. Like, this is where we thrive. This is, and we have everything we need here unless we just destroy it or use it all up, which we're really
and
good
that's,
at.
that's really what scientists are trying to figure out. It's like they want to know when another area to go to for whatever does happen. I think that's one of the reasons why they keep trying to find another area, but it's just like, we got time. So
I mean, yeah, we're repopulating ourselves at an exponential rate.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of space here. There's even enough resources, but it is finite. That is for sure. And especially if we are growing as a population faster than the resources. So there might come a point in time, and you know, I would say maybe several hundred years. Where it gets like to a critical point where it's like, okay, we don't have enough here for everyone.
I mean,
I think we can avoid that if we're careful. But we're not being careful right now.
Okay, I do have one last question, and that is, what are 3 fragrances you can just recommend to people right off the bat, for my viewers?
Man, let me shift gears here. 3 fragrances right off the bat. I mean, you know, for me, it's easier to do that with parameters. Like, are we looking at designer?
Okay, I'll do. Okay, yeah. So 3, let's just say 3 niche fragrances.
3 niche fragrances to check out. Okay. 3 that are really rocking my world right now. Number 1, Incident Diplomatique.
What?
From Jovoy. In fact, if you don't mind, I can just grab the bottle.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and grab it.
I'll be right back.
All right.
I just grabbed 3. I could have grabbed 8. Gotta keep it simple.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so these are all pretty different from each other. The first one I just mentioned, and it's this one. It's called Incident Diplomatique.
Oh, okay.
It's from a French house called Jovoy, based in Paris. Okay. And this is very unusual. This one.
What's the notes in it, or like the top notes?
It has a little bit of mandarin orange, nutmeg, vetiver, I think maybe even some patchouli. It's very earthy. Yeah, it's really earthy. It also has a boozy quality to it, even though there's no real booze in here. It's very earthy. It's even a little smoky. There's, I think it's actually intended to almost kind of smell like, believe it or not, like an ashtray in a way. There's like a bit of like a smoker's, like someone who's been smoking for a while.
I think kind of
get what you're saying. But it's really interesting. It's really classy.
What's the price tag?
I'm not sure. I want to say you can find this for under $200, but I would sample it first. I would not blind buy this.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
That's a love or hate it. Next one from the house of Roja Parfums is one of my favorites. This is called Scandal.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the Parfum Cologne version. He has a regular Eau de Parfum version, which is a little bit denser. But this is the Parfum Cologne, so it has a more brighter air to it, especially when you first spray it on. The citruses are brighter and all that. This one carries a little bit of a vintage vibe. It's it's a little bit kind of old school barbershop, but there's something modern about it. I mean, it's very fresh and spicy.
Yeah, the bottle looks awesome.
Yeah, the bottle's like purple. It's really, really beautiful. And I have a bunch of others from this collection. They're all different colors. It's fresh and spicy. It's herbaceous. There's a lot of lavender in here. There's like lemon and bergamot, and there's like oak moss in here, so it gets kind of earthy as it dries, and it gets really dry. This is what's called a chypre, which is a style of perfume that Roja is really into. It's one of his specialties. But this one's good. I love to wear it. This can be a signature scent, but again, it has a little bit of a mature vibe to it. This is not like your Dior Sauvage or anything like that. This is going to be like you're dressing up a little bit more classy. But that one is good. I love it. It has a little bit of a creaminess too, which I love as well.
Nice.
And this one, I talk about this all the time.
Oh, I feel like
this is from
yeah. You did a picture of that on Instagram.
Yeah, I think I have a few. And this is from an Italian house called Boise, 1920. And the only way you can see inside the bottle is from the bottom, which is cool. And it's called Dolce di Giorno. I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah, I see it.
And it's actually green. It's a really beautiful green, almost like Jolly Rancher.
I was going to say, it looks like, just like somebody melted it.
Yeah. And this is a very unique scent. This one, it's very woody, a lot of cedar wood and cypriol, which actually comes from a plant. It's an oil that comes from a plant called the Nargamartha plant. And that is also kind of a woody scent as well, but it's kind of like an old aged wood kind of smell. It's hard to describe.
Nice.
But this also has a lot of plum and cinnamon. So it's very spicy. It's sweet. There's also vanilla in here. So it's spicy. It's sweet.
You'll have to check it out.
It's very woody. And there's a little bit of like a creaminess in there as it dries down. Really classy stuff. And again, very unique. Nothing really smells like this. There's one fragrance that it does get compared to from Costume National, which is technically a designer house. And it's just called Homme, Costume National Homme. That one is similar in structure to this, only it has a lot of cloves, I think, instead of cinnamon as a spice.
Yeah.
But
nice.
It's really different. It's when I first smelled it, I was like, this is so different. I didn't even know if I liked it, but I do. Wow. So now I have a bottle and it's good stuff. So
how much did that run you, by the way?
This one's not that expensive either. Again, you can probably find a bottle under $200, but again, I would sample it. The Roja, you're gonna find this one a little over $200 for 100 ml. But
usually there's a little bit more, but it's quality.
Yeah. When it comes to niche, sample first. That's all I can say.
I will leave all of these in the link in the description below. I didn't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to say thank you for coming on this podcast and just talking about colognes and space and Tesla
and everything.
The podcast took a turn, man. Yeah, no problem. But I will make sure I leave his stuff in the link description below. You can also check out his music channel. I'll leave it all down there as well. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And they will post notifications to stay up to date with everything that's happening on the channel. Till next time, you guys. Peace out.